Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi, I'm Nurul Izzah, and in today's video, I'm gonna make a video about cultural conflict. So let's get started. What is cultural conflict? Cultural conflict is a type of conflict that occurs when different cultural values and beliefs clash.
Rude or just misunderstood.
Some behavior that seems rude or problematic might actually be culture-based. Culture is a complex concept, and it influences all human social interactions and activities. Most of the people we meet every day are influenced by their own backgrounds, culturally, socially, or personally. And most of our behavior is also outside of our awareness. So that normal behavior means behavior according to norms of our culture and not what is done everywhere. Everyone has a unique style of communication because cultures determines a general style for their members. Unfortunately, we are not always aware of that subtle influences of our culture. Likewise, we may not perceive that others are also influenced by their cultures as well. That's why understanding the impact of cultural differences is so important for us, especially for those who work or live in intercultural situations, since culture can affect many of the communicational processes. Therefore, in this change, I'm gonna show you guys what things can cause cultural conflicts and what should we do when we experience it. So let's get started.
Intercultural communication.
Intercultural communication is one of the major factors that causes cultural conflict. Intercultural communication is communication between members from different cultures. The definition is so simple, but the process is so complex. We know that even two people from the same culture can have communication problem, moreover if it's different. So, isn't it logical that communication problems can be compounded among people who do not have benefit or shared experiences like language and culture? It takes a lot of open-mindedness to be able to understand different aspects of other cultures, because they usually derive from circumstances and backgrounds one hasn't really experienced and a language one doesn't know well enough.
Misinterpretation.
A cultural misinterpretation occurs when something like a word, gestures, object, social context, or anything you can think of has different meanings in two cultures. Most of the times, they may be perceived as personal rather than cultural. Some misunderstandings like this are insignificant and can be easily ignored and remedied. But sometimes it can be more serious in that they can create persistent negative toward others. Also, it can happen both ways. Sometimes unintentionally someone may hurt your feelings, and sometimes maybe you will offend someone terribly. In either case, you should always accept that there's a possibility that cultural differences are causing communication problems. And always be patient and forgiving instead of being aggressive. You should always respond slowly with kindness and do not ever jump to the conclusion that others offended you intentionally. It's always better to research all possible misunderstandings. So, here are some of the most common examples of cultural misinterpretations.
Eye contact. Eye contact is so important because it shows intimacy, attention, and influence. However, in general, Indonesians make less eye contact with strangers in big cities than in small towns. In Indonesian small town, it's usual for two strangers walking each other to make eye contact, smile, and perhaps say, "Hi, good morning," or even, "Where are you going?" Hand gestures. It's always advised to mind your body language when in an unknown company, especially if you're in a foreign country. Sometimes hand gestures you make can have different meanings than what they had in your country. For example, you must be aware of OK sign you make with your thumbs up. In Iran, it's considered an insult. It's known as a bilagh, which is a substitute to what showing middle finger means. In Brazil and France, the OK sign where thumb and forefinger meet to create a circle is an offensive gesture that refers to an offensive gender mark. Unless you are really looking forward to a pounding and a few days in jail, I suggest you avoid it. Ethnocentrism.
Ethnocentrism is a belief in the superiority of your own culture. It results from judging other cultures by your own cultural ideals. In cross-cultural interactions, speakers sometimes assume that what they believe is right because they have grown up thinking their way is the best. This ethnocentric assumption can result in negative judgments about other cultures. Another manifestation of ethnocentric attitude is that people become too critical of individuals from different cultures. When we interact with diverse others, there will be times when our own values conflict with cultural ideals of our partner. When things like this happen, we must remember that we don't require to abandon our own cultural values or to support the practices or beliefs of other cultures. Cultural intelligence only encourages non-judgmental respect for difference. Respect as civility means showing a positive regard for others as equals. It involves disagreeing without demonizing and hearing different opinions without attacking.
Stereotypes and prejudice.
A stereotype is a popular belief about specific types of individuals. Stereotypes are standardized and simplified conception of groups based on some prior assumptions. Prejudice is a negative attitude and feeling toward an individual based on one's membership in a particular social group. Prejudice is making a judgment or assumption about someone or something without having enough knowledge to be able to do so with a guaranteed accuracy, or usually people call it as judging a book by its cover. The word prejudice is most often used to refer to preconceived judgment about people or a person because of race, a social class, ethnicity, age, disability, sexual orientation, religion, and other personal characteristics. Sometimes people will act on their prejudiced attitude toward a group of people, and this behavior is known as discrimination. Discrimination is a negative action toward an individual because of one's membership in a particular group. This over-generalized belief frequently shape people's perceptions of each other. Stereotypes beliefs prevent us from seeing people as individuals with unique characteristics. As a result of holding negative beliefs or stereotypes and negative attitude or prejudice about a particular group, people often treat the target of prejudice poorly, such as excluding them from their circle of friends. Prejudice and stereotypes persist in society due to social learning and conformity to social norms. Children learn prejudiced attitudes and beliefs from society, like from their parents, teachers, friends, the media, and other sources of socialization like Facebook, Instagram, etc. Educating others is one way to try to correct these misperceptions. At the same time, individuals need to become fully aware of their own preconceptions. Establishing personal relationship with individuals from different cultures, religion, and races may be the best way to break down stereotypes and prejudice. In the end, we can make a little conclusion that cultural conflict occur as a result of misinterpretation, ethnocentrism, stereotypes, and prejudice. Preventing these conflicts is possible with increased awareness of our own attitude as well as sensitivity to cross-cultural differences. Developing our intercultural sensitivity doesn't mean we need to lose our cultural identities, but rather that we recognize cultural influences within ourselves and within others. Okay, I think that's all I can say in this change. Thank you so much for watching. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.